And welcome back into the Concord TV studio here in mid-February, or depending when you're watching this, either on YouTube or on our cable access channels. Today's episode is a really exciting one. We have one of our most impressive guests with a great resume and doing a lot for the community. So we're really glad to have her here. Morgan Torre is this year's Miss Capital Area and is joining us here in the studio. And Morgan, we're going to cut right to the chase because there's a lot we have to talk about. You brought the crown with you, which I think is important. You have to show it off. So thanks for being here in the studio. You were telling me before we started recording, you have done public access shows before down in Nashua, so you're no stranger to this.
No amateur. I mean, you never know, but I'm really excited to be here, so thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to have you. For those who aren't aware, I didn't know a lot about the Miss Capital Area and the Miss New Hampshire. Give us just a quick rundown of kind of what the program is, you know, how you personally got involved with it, and how it works.
So I have been around the Miss New Hampshire Scholarship Program since I was about 4 years old. And that connection kind of stemmed from being a baton twirler, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more later.
We have to.
We must. And so I've been baton twirling since I was 4, and a lot of my coaches and teammates competed in Miss New Hampshire. And so I wasn't really familiar about the inner workings of the organization, but I went every single year, I watched, I absolutely loved it. And I knew one day that I would compete at Miss New Hampshire. But there is a whole process that you have to do to get there, and winning a local title is part of that process. So me winning Miss Capital Area earned my ticket to Miss New Hampshire. This is my 5th year now going to Miss New Hampshire, so I've been Miss Derry, Miss Londonderry, Miss Greater Nashua, Miss Portsmouth, and now Miss Capital Area. And I've earned about $57,000 in scholarships along the way.
No kidding.
And Miss Capital Area is actually the largest, I believe it's the largest in the state for scholarships. I won $20,000 at the local level.
Congratulations.
Yes,
now, where do they do they do it at the Concord City Auditorium?
Yes.
Or, yeah, okay.
Yes. So they awarded $20,000 to me as Miss Capital Area, and then $20,000 to Miss Liberty, whose name is Veronica. She is also competing for Miss New Hampshire in April.
Nice. So what is that event? Take me kind of what it's like, because you seem like you're not shy, like you're not like nervous too much, but like when you're actually at that competition, from what I saw on the website, like, the judging is very specific. What is the competition process like? And it seems like old hat to you now, but tell us kind of what goes into that.
So it is a week-long competition, and we move into a hotel for an entire week.
No kidding.
It's really exciting. And New Hampshire does it better really than any state. We have a $500,000 production that is completely done by volunteers. It's incredible, and it's held at Pinkerton Academy every single year since I can remember, honestly. And so that week-long competition consists of a couple phases. So there's interview, which we do before the actual preliminary competitions. We have a private interview with the judges for about 10 minutes, and that's really when they get to know you on a more personal level, and that's really what has helped me develop my public speaking skills and being able to kind of talk to anyone, because you never know where these judges are coming from. Some are involved in the pageant world, some have, like you, no idea what Miss Capital Area or Miss New Hampshire even is. So you have to go in there with a completely open mind.
Sounds like a job interview almost.
It is. And so that's really prepared me in my professional life as well. And then there is the preliminary competitions, which have talent, so baton twirling for me, on-stage question, which is about 30 seconds, and then there is also evening gown and fitness. And then there is a final competition, so the top 10, or top 11, I'm sorry, because we do have a People's Choice contestant that gets chosen at random. So we don't know who that person is among the top 11. And then they do all the phases again, and then they pick the top 5 and then the winner.
Wow. What do you recall what your 30-second question this year? Do you recall what the question was and sort of your answer?
So in preliminaries, it's about your community service initiative. So mine is the ripple effect. And then in finals, you get asked about a hot topic, which is, so you do have to be really educated about the world around you. And that's something that people they have a stereotype definitely about pageant women. And I think that Miss America is really trying to break that stereotype and present to the world that these are educated young women. I mean, I'm going to law school hopefully someday soon. There are people that have won that have been doctors, and I mean, these are educated women. So being able to showcase that on the stage is really important.
So it's important to represent yourself well. But I could imagine any of us or anyone watching this program, if you put any of us on the spot on a topic, a random topic of world importance, and said, 30 seconds, go.
And there's no question either. They just say a word.
Oh, like they just give the, like.
So like, for example, I think someone last year got immigration, which is a very hot topic and can be polarizing depending on your opinion.
Yep.
But they want to know whether or not you have an opinion about a topic. It doesn't necessarily matter what your opinion is, as long as it's educated and you can speak on it to the best
and be
of your
quick
ability.
on your feet.
Exactly. Because that's really what the job of Miss New Hampshire is. And I've experienced that even as Miss Capillary. This is a pretty big region. I've been able to do so many different appearances and really just take on what it's like to be a local title holder and really amplify that at the state level.
So you mentioned like events that you go to. What are some of the different places you've done appearances, and what's that like?
So I've done some cute appearances. I did the trunk or treat, which was a lot of fun. I did
for in-town,
Concord.
for the in-town Concord, the Halloween Howl. Yeah.
Yes, the Halloween Howl.
Yeah, I'm on the board for in-town as well.
Oh, nice.
So, okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I always support them.
We were a part of that, and
Okay.
then I also did the holiday parade. But then I've done some outreach work on my own, and I think that is really what has made this experience so much more valuable for me. I've been able to go to the State House on a couple of occasions. I was just there on Wednesday meeting with the Speaker of the House and talking about legislation that I want to put into action, and that's the power of this organization. Is I always say that the Crown kind of acts like a microphone. Like people want to listen to you. They want to hear what you have to say. So I think that really rings true, especially in the capital region.
Yeah, and I would think too, New Hampshire, despite everyone's different political differences, it's a very accessible state house and state legislature, almost to a fault. But in terms of like transparency and being able to talk to the speaker, Sherman Packard, is it?
It is Sherman Packard.
Yeah, that other Miss state, in other states, larger states especially, might not have that chance.
Exactly.
So not only does the program let you amplify, but you also, it's a great state to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
So I think that's awesome that you've already been able to talk to famous people and influential politicians and
not be nervous to go into those rooms. I think that's the biggest thing. Like I walked into that room on Wednesday and unexpectedly the chief of staff was also in there, and I believe the head of the labor commission, and I could have been very intimidated by that, especially walking in as a young 23-year-old woman. But I walked in there and I knew exactly what I wanted to say, and really it was kind of an idea brainstorming session because I'm not a politician. I don't know how exactly legislation needs to be passed through, but if you go into any type of meeting with state legislature and you just have a good idea, they're going to want to listen and help you, especially if it's for the right motive.
Yeah, exactly. They should be willing to listen.
Yes.
Yeah. So your community service initiative, the Ripple Effect, tell us more about that and where it all came from and what motivates that.
So I always talk about like at the age of 4, but really that was like kind of when my life changed. I started baton twirling, I started doing all these different activities, getting involved. My mom really pushed me growing up to be involved in my community, and so did my baton twirling team. And so my love of volunteerism started really early. And my parents went through a custody battle when I was about 7 years old, and that lasted about 9 years. And so not having a voice in the court system, that's really propelled me into the legal field as well as the nonprofit management fields. I want to be a voice for people, and that's what pageantry is all about. And so being able to take that and turn it into something really good, I'm working on making the Ripple Effect a nonprofit corporation.
Oh, okay.
So it's incorporated with the Secretary of State, and then I'm working on IRS tax exemption, and then obviously I'm an intern for CTU, so I'm waiting for my internship to be over before I send in my registration.
So you're learning all about, I mean, and I don't want to bore people with this, but Concord TV being a nonprofit, there's, you have to file with the IRS, you have to file with the New Hampshire Charitable Trust Unit, then every like 5 years you have to kind of keep renewing and staying in good standing.
It's a lot of work.
I'm not an expert on it, but I know the nonprofit, director's perspective of doing that. But it's also, New Hampshire is such a supportive nonprofit environment. We have so many who do, like every sector of New Hampshire has nonprofits, whether it's transportation, housing, supporting new Americans, like every sector, there's nonprofits that people just have to know they exist.
Right.
So the ripple effect, and what would the nonprofit, it would be the Ripple Effect Foundation?
It would be the Ripple Effect, Small Acts Make a Big
Small
Impact.
Acts, yeah.
And so it's really about bringing volunteers in and helping them find which nonprofits they can best work with. So it's kind of like a volunteer match program, as well as I'm working on a Small Acts Make a Big Impact scholarship, because scholarship is really important to me, especially through the Miss New Hampshire scholarship program. I've been able to earn so much, so I want to be able to give that back.
I can't wait to see what you do with that.
Thank you so much.
And the fact that you're paying it forward
Yes.
is terrific. So tell us a little bit more, the scholarships that are available. It's through both, is it all through the Miss New Hampshire? There's also the regional, like Miss Capital Area scholarships. Is it both? How does that work?
So each local has their own 501c3. So Miss Capital Area by itself is a 501c3, and they have an amazing partnership with the Brook Casino. So we do charitable gaming, which is how we've been able to accumulate so much scholarship money. And so they just gave us a check for $145,000.
That charitable gaming, it's such
incredible.
an amazing fundraiser.
It's incredible. And so being able to have that partnership has been awesome. And then in terms of Miss New Hampshire, there's actually, the Miss New Hampshire Scholarship Program is a 501c4, and then it also has a foundation attached to it, which is a 501c3, and that's where all the scholarship money goes.
501c4, is that a membership based? Is that what that means?
Yes, it's like a mutual benefit membership. Yes.
I didn't think we'd do all this nonprofit jargon. This is like a totally tangential skip ahead if you don't. But yeah, because there's other nonprofits in Concord that are those C4, which is more because they have like membership fees or dues or something like that.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so I think it's awesome that Miss New Hampshire has been able to do both of those different types of programs at the state level and be able to have a competition within the program, but also be able to award. So, I mean, they award about close to $100,000 every year.
That's incredible.
Amazing.
It is. The opportunities that provides is for really well-deserving recipients.
Absolutely.
So this is, I apologize for the really simple question here. If you win Miss New Hampshire, you then move on to Miss America. Is that correct?
Yes, you do.
Okay. And how
I've been close. How close? I was first runner-up in 2023 to Brooke Mills, who's actually a doctor of chiropractic. She's from Concord.
We've had her in before when she was Miss Capital Area.
She's incredible. And it was an honor to be her first runner-up. She had been competing for, I think it was like 13 years. She did the teen program, the Miss program. So to be able to stand there with her in those final moments as she was crowned. I mean, it was only my third year. I was still pretty fresh to the program. And it was an honor. I've been in the top 5 about 3 times and then the top 10 once. Last year I was third runner-up to our current Miss New Hampshire, Emily Spencer. She's my best friend, and so that was incredible as well. I think that the sisterhood aspect of the program has really meant a lot to me because it is a competition and girls can get competitive, but I think having those lifelong friendships, I'm going to be a bridesmaid in one of the girls' weddings this summer, so I really love that aspect of the competition as well.
So the competition doesn't get it doesn't ruin friendships, or you're making lifelong friendships.
You are.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Brooke Mills because, she has been a regular on Concord TV programming over the years. And her cause was for like concussion awareness, I think.
Yes, she had a concussion and then she went to the state legislature as well. And she had Concussion Awareness Day that was passed.
That's huge, Did she also start a nonprofit for her?
I think she might have. I can't remember exactly, but I believe she did.
It is a lot of work to do that official process, and I'm sure it's not a requirement. You could still have an initiative and not do the official nonprofit.
I was just talking to some of the girls the other day about that because of my internship with the Charitable Trust Unit. I have a lot of knowledge about the registration process and annual filing, and people do need to realize that it's a huge undertaking to start a nonprofit, and you have to be fiscally responsible in order to do that. And so I always encourage the girls to take a couple of years and make it a fully fledged initiative and then turn it into a nonprofit and make sure you have a support system that can be your board of directors that isn't direct family.
Exactly, right, and have enough board members. I mean, each organization, like I've seen some that, you could have like 5 board members or 3. It doesn't have to be, some organizations have like 20. You don't have to have, it doesn't have to be gigantic, but you're right, it should be independent community members who aren't just like your family. So, I wouldn't put my family on the Concord TV board of directors, that's for sure. So you're also pursuing, on top of everything else, a master's degree. I think you've alluded to it.
Yes.
And before we started recording, you had kind of said, you kind of were almost like nonchalant about it in a sense. But tell us what you're studying for your master's degree and some of your career aspirations.
Yes, so I'm doing my master's degree at Columbia University. I'm taking all my classes remotely, and that was to be able to have flexibility with Miss New Hampshire as well as my work schedule. I do work a part-time job, and I have an internship, so kind of here, there, and everywhere.
Right.
And so I've taken 3 classes every semester. So instead of part-time, I've done an accelerated half-time program. So I'm finishing this May. I'm really excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to graduate with my master's in nonprofit management, especially from an Ivy League institution. That was always my goal growing up. I wanted to go to Harvard, and I had these amazing goals for myself. And I went to Suffolk for my undergrad. It was awesome to be able to be in the city.
You studied journalism?
I did.
Yep.
I did. And I really liked that. I learned so many communication skills, which also ties into my role as Miss Capital Area. But what's next for me is potentially law school. I alluded to my internship as well, and I think that has really helped me develop what kind of law I'm thinking about: charitable law, nonprofit law, maybe even family law. And so CTU has just been really amazing and just encouraging me and uplifting me in every way. So I'm not sure if law school is in the cards for this upcoming year or the following year, but I'm really excited to see what's next.
Yeah, and you don't have to decide the specific type of law. Right. You can get into law school.
You can go
and
in
then
basically
figure it out.
undeclared with law, which is awesome.
Well, UNH Law is right down the street.
I did apply there.
Yep.
I did. Yes.
UNH Law has a good reputation for a couple different types of law. So they used to be known most for intellectual property as sort of their calling card, but you can. I have a lot of friends who went there and had a good experience.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So what else should people know about the program? Oh, actually, you know what? No. I'm going to back up. I'm going to edit myself here because the baton twirling, we've now implied it several times.
We have to talk
Did
about
you
it.
bring a baton? Like, are you able to show us?
Oh, I might have one. Oh.
We have very low ceilings, so
might have
like,
one
I don't
right
want to
here.
smack the light. But you have one. Okay.
Yeah, I do. So I'll show you.
Okay, so that's the proof, Morgan, that you do know baton twirling. I'm
Yes.
sure everyone knew that you already knew how to baton twirl because you've done it not just in Concord, not just at Miss Capital Area, in China. Is that true?
I did. I twirled on the Great Wall of China when I was just 9 years old, and that was an incredible experience. And I've also traveled to France and England, and so I went to the World Championships in Liverpool, England, and it was an awesome experience. And that's actually when I retired from competitive baton twirling, was after the World Championships. It was my goal for 18 years to qualify. It took me a very long time to get there, and I worked really hard. And so to hear my name called, and they said, Morgan Torre, United States of America, with this giant auditorium just filled with people. That was probably the highlight of my baton twirling career.
Probably a top moment of like your entire
Of my life,
right?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that's
I think the
incredible.
only thing that would be just as comparable would be going to Miss America and being able to represent New Hampshire.
Which, speaking of which, when is the next, because you have the statewide competition coming up, when is that happening?
So
this
the
year?
statewide competition is in April, and then they're moving Miss America back to September, which is when it always was. And there's rumors that it will be held in Atlantic City once again, which is where it was historically held. It's been in Florida the past couple of years under new leadership, and there's just been a lot of changes at the national level. But I'm really excited to see what the future of Miss America holds. I've been a couple times. I twirled in the Miss America parade in 2015. And then I attended when Brooke competed, and that was really exciting to be able to go and to watch and to support her.
But your dream is to represent New Hampshire and to.
Yes, it
So
is.
we'll be rooting for you
Thank
for
you.
sure.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
So the website for Miss Capital Area, misscapitalaria.org, where folks can go check that out. I think there's option people can donate to the scholarship fund as well, right?
And our competition will be held in August, I believe, once again at the Concord City Auditorium.
Is that open to the public to
Yes,
attend?
it is.
Okay.
So, and anyone can compete. So basically it's girls from ages 13 to, I believe, 17 for the teen program, and then 17 to 27 or so. They keep changing the ages. I can't keep up. But check out our website for more information on the eligibility. And so women among those ages can compete for my title in August, which is really exciting. And we'll have the whole local season, usually runs from about June to September, so right before Miss America, and that'll be for the next cycle of Miss New Hampshire.
Gotcha. Yep, so everyone's going to be coming for the crown. Yeah.
Yes, and
No
that $20,000, I believe we'll be awarding about the same, if not more, at the local level again.
Wow. And the scholarship goes to the top, like, is it like a first, second, third, or is it pretty much?
Yes, so Miss Capital Area and Miss Liberty win the big bucks.
Yeah.
And then the first runner-up and the second runner-up, I believe, both won pretty sizable scholarships.
Yeah.
Maybe like $3,000 to $5,000 each,
Yeah.
which was awesome.
So the scholarship, that is amazing, but also you had mentioned before, just like the public speaking experience.
Yes.
And that just sounds like a great thing to just for someone to just give it a try.
And I grew up
just, yeah.
extremely shy. And so when I first started competing in this program, I would choke on stage all the time, just completely forget what I was talking about. But Miss New Hampshire at the time, her name was Sarah Tubbs. She came up to me and she said, just keep going. Like, you're gonna win a local, you're gonna go to Miss New Hampshire, you can do this. So it took me a whole year actually to win a local title. And I finally was crowned Miss Greater Dairy. I went to Miss New Hampshire. It was delayed because of COVID-19.
Right.
And I just remember if she hadn't pushed me to do that, I probably would have given up. And so that's really my goal as Miss Capital Area and also potentially as Miss New Hampshire, is to encourage these young girls to be able to keep going. We have a princess program, a Granite Girls program for girls that are, I think, 4 to 9, and then an empowerment camp program for preteen girls. So we have filtering in programs before you're even eligible to actually compete, that you can be part of the competition backstage and really learn the ropes. And that's where you can gain those public speaking skills before you're even on stage. And I wish I had done the programs like that when I was younger, because building that confidence is so important for young girls.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And build that confidence before, because a lot of times the world tries to kind of bring us down or try.
Yes.
So build up that confidence and know you're a great person, you can do it.
And what's crazy is that year that she pushed me to compete, I ended up in the top 5. I was the only rookie to make the top 10.
Wow.
And the only rookie to make the top 5.
So usually a rookie kind of gets acclimated and you're not expecting necessarily to place.
No, I was not expecting anything whatsoever. I knew that I did my best performance, but I had no clue how I would place. And I remember my mom called me, and I was in the hotel, and we didn't have roommates that year because of COVID. And so I was by myself, and I was actually taking a final exam, and she calls me and she's like, just don't be disappointed tomorrow if you don't make the finals. It's your first year. Like, just be so excited. You've done so great so far. And I was like, oh, thanks, Mom. Like, wasn't really worried about it, and I went in and I was just completely shocked. Yeah. And I think every year that feeling of shock still comes back, because it's a panel of 5 different judges every year. You never know who is going to be on that panel, what they're going to be looking for, and you can just only do your best. And I think that that's something that I've really had to come to terms with, is that I don't have anything to prove to anyone but myself year after year.
Yeah, that's awesome, Morgan. Yeah,
thanks.
Congratulations on all your successes. And is there anything else you want our audience to know about the program, or about what you're accomplishing, or any final thoughts to take us out here?
I think just following along with my journey on the Miss Capital Area Facebook, as well as the Miss Capital Area Instagram account. And those are Miss Capital Area Scholarship Program on Facebook, and then at Miss Capital Area NH on Instagram. And you can kind of see my journey to the Miss New Hampshire stage. And then if you'd like to be a part of our empowerment camp program or our princess program, feel free to reach out to me. Those, I believe, are still open for the state competition, and I can squeeze you in before the deadline. And really just continue to follow the Miss New Hampshire Scholarship Program, because this is just such an amazing scholarship and service opportunity for young women in our state.
Awesome. That's great. That's terrific, Morgan.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Best of luck with upcoming competitions, and we hope to see you on the stage at Miss America. That's
fingers crossed.
I know. I don't want to jinx it, but we'll be rooting for you, and you're welcome back here at the studio anytime.
Thank you.
So,
so much.
To our audience, thanks for tuning into Community Conversations. If you have ideas for programs, we are always looking for guests. We try to put out 1 or 2 episodes a month, something related to Concord, and we know there's a lot of great people out there. So let us know if you would like a certain organization or topic featured on the show. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.